guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a return customer, thank you so much for your support, and I hope whatever I say helps you out in some way, or just entertains you, or just makes you think, wow, she's got a crazy life. But anyway, so this is my part 3 in my fast food series. I've got my Wendy's manager shirt on and my Wendy's manager tag. I lost the one that has it engraved, so they just had a thing. I've got an engraved one right here, but it's not a manager one. I like the gold. I did go into the manager training, and it was because I had worked so long at Wendy's. I knew just as much, if not sometimes more, than the managers I was working with. So I was like, well, why not? I need more money, and I can do it. I'm there just the same amount of time. I'm working my butt off. I know every single position there is to know because I had been working at Wendy's since high school. So I told them I wanted to enter the managerial program. And they were excited. They're like, okay, yeah, you'll do great and everything. But you can't train at your own store. And this was back in, 2000, 2001. I was in South Carolina at the time. And the training store was probably a good 45 minutes away from where I was. So it was quite a drive. And I was still kind of shy and soft-spoken, and that did not help me. On my first day, I was there, ready to go, had my manager shirt on and everything, and they were like, okay, well, you've got to take this test first. Okay. And I took it, and I missed like 2 questions out of the entire thing, so I got a 90-something. And she said, well, that's pretty good. And then she started me out counting drawers out in the morning. And she said that, whatever was left in the sink to soak overnight was my responsibility to wash. And she went through, everything I had to do that morning and check and everything. And then for my position during the day, she would stick me as the drive-through coordinator, which is just making sure that the orders are filled properly, bagged properly, and go out the door or window, as the case may be. And I was like, okay, well, that's not a problem. I do that anyway. And she was really tough, and she would put people down a lot. There was this guy who came to work for us, and he had been in jail. So he needed a job that would hire him. And he was one of those guys that he either learned what he was supposed to learn in jail, or he just was caught in a bad situation. He was a really nice guy, very respectful. I liked him. He was one of my favorite employees. But apparently she had a problem with him. So she pulled me out with her to talk to this guy. And she was like, you're taking too long in the bathroom. And, you know, what are you doing in there? And he's like, well, I'm just going to the bathroom. And she was like, well, how long does it take you to pee? And he's like, well, about a minute, I guess. And she's like, well, how long does it take you to poop? And he's like, well, probably 3 minutes. And she's like, well, you were gone about 5 minutes. And I'm like, one, this is not really appropriate. Why am I mean, you know, she was trying to teach me how to deal with problems in the crew, and I understand that. But we were in the dining room talking about this, and she's not soft-spoken at all. And she was just really hounding him. And I was like, this has got to be devastatingly embarrassing for him. I was embarrassed for him. And I had no idea why she was doing this. But she was trying to get her point across, and, you know, point well taken. But it was just, it was strange. Now, back to my sandwich maker, when I was back in and doing the coordination thing, this girl's name started with an R. And back then, when you used the mustard, you were supposed to make a W in mustard on the sandwich, if the sandwich got mustard. And she was putting an R. So the manager pulls me and her out there and went on and on about how this is not her place, so she's supposed to put a W on the sandwiches. And I was like, if this is your biggest problem, I mean, nobody's gonna open their sandwich and say, okay, it has an R on my sandwich, it's supposed to be a W. I mean, I can understand it's supposed to be even, and where the R comes together might be a little bit more, but I mean, come on. It was one of those things, it's like, why, just why? Just why? So, and nobody respected me as a manager. Now, it might be because I was this skinny little white girl, and the whole store was African American. I don't have a problem with that. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what color hair you have. It has no bearing on how I treat you, how I respond to you, what I think of you. I really don't care. I am one of the most non-discriminatory people you will probably ever meet. But I would tell them to do something like, you know, Travis, please take your condiments out of the reach-in and put them in the walk-in. That's where they go. And he would say, well, that's not my job. I don't want to. I mean, he didn't have a problem with any other manager telling him what to do, but when I told him to do it, he had a problem with it. And I mean, that ran through the whole time I was training. I would be told that, you know, I wasn't in charge, or no, I wasn't going to. It was very irritating and very frustrating. And there was another trainee that came in after me, and she was African American. She moved really slow, and she usually just did the grill or sandwiches. And she didn't count the money. She didn't know how to work the register. I was in charge of making deposits, making drawer pulls. There was one time where I actually, because you know, you make a drawer pull if it's over a certain amount, and you put it in your pocket. And when you have time, you go put it in the safe. And that was perfectly acceptable for everybody to do, except apparently me. And one time I had made a drawer pull late in my shift, and then they were like, well, you know, it's time for you to go, you can go home. I got in my car and I realized I had a wad of cash in my pocket. I got out of my car, I went back in, and I told the manager, I was like, this was still in my pocket, I need to deposit this. And she accused me of trying to steal it. I was like, it was an honest mistake. We were really busy. I was tired when I got off work. I went out to my car, I realized it was in my pocket, and I brought it back to you. And she was like, well, you just need to know what you're doing, and you need to pay attention to what you're doing, and you can't be stealing money. And I'm like, I'm not stealing it. I brought it back to you. I explained it was an honest mistake. But in all the time I was manager training, this other lady never did drawer pulls, never dealt with cash at all. She barely knew how to work the register. She wasn't the coordinator ever. She was either on grill or sandwiches or fries, which fries is like the easiest position there is, aside from dining room, where you're wiping down tables. And that's what she would do. I was the one that did all the work. And they were like, well, why can't you be more like her? I'm like, I'm the one that's doing everything. She's doing sandwiches. She's doing the grill. I don't understand. And we had a clog. Now, in a fast food restaurant, in the kitchen area, there is a drain dispersed throughout different areas of the floor. So when you're mopping, like you will do several times, you can mop it into that drain. And the drain got clogged by something. And there was, I swear to God, an inch or so of water in the middle of the kitchen. And there was the main manager, another manager, a grill person, and I think another manager, all working on it and trying to get the drain unclogged. And at the end of the day, I got yelled at because I didn't stop what I was doing and help with the clog. And I told her, she says, well, you know, why didn't you come over and offer to help? I said, well, we were busy. It was our lunch hour where we're slammed. And there were already 2 or 3 people crowded around that drain. And the grillman was trying to get the water out. And I says, would you rather me stop what I'm doing and join you? I'm not a plumber. I don't know. I mean, you know, the drain is this big. And there were already 2 or 3 people around it. So I thought the best thing I could do was to help get the line out, which is what we did. And she was appalled by that. Something else I did wrong. Whew. But it was just crazy. And then it came time for my evaluation, and she decided to put me on the front counter. And I had never worked the front counter. So I did it pretty much like I did the back coordinator position. I was getting orders out and, telling the fry person when to drop fries and, keeping up with how many chicken we have in the drawer and that kind of thing. Well, apparently I was doing it wrong. I wasn't vocal enough because she was in the back and she couldn't hear me. And I'm like, I'm not going to yell specifically for the whole store to hear me. If I'm telling a certain person to do something, then I will tell them in a normal voice so they can hear me. If they can hear me, then why do I have to yell louder? Just to appease you. I didn't understand that. But they let me finish out my shift, and then they said, well, I don't think you're ready for management, and so it's not going to work. You just can go back to your store. And when I got there, I was told that I was not trustworthy on the cash register anymore. That there had been too many times at that store before I went to management training, too many times that my drawer had come up short. And I was like, why was I sent to management training? Why wasn't this brought to my attention? Why is this an issue now? And I was like, okay, you know what? I've had enough. I'm writing, not the regional manager, but the manager after that. And I got his attention. We all had a powwow with my manager, my general manager, my district manager, and the regional manager. And I said, look, this is what's been going on. I felt I was discriminated against because I was white and everyone else was African American and was treating me like crap. Now, I get the tit for tat thing, but I didn't do anything to these people. And they were just really letting me have it, not listening to me, talking back to me, whatever, because I wasn't this yelling drill sergeant of African American in the store. And to come back and to be accused of stealing, I'm like, where's this coming from? Again, you should have told me before I went to management training. This should have been brought to my attention. And if it was an issue, why did you send me to management training? Where my sole main focus in working as a manager trainee was to pool money and set up the registers and work with money. I mean, it just made no sense. And the regional manager was on the same page with me. He's like, I don't understand why it's an issue. And so they put me back on register, and with this one particular manager who had the issue, she didn't put me on register, but that was fine. I mean, I don't have to be on the register all the time. I didn't want to be on the register all the time. So I was more than happy making sandwiches, doing grill, doing coordinating, whatever. And I think that irritated her a little bit, to know that I didn't mind not doing register. It didn't bother me at all. And then I started to get the register privileges back. And then I quit. And I went back to that restaurant as a customer several months later during lunch rush. And they were not very busy at all. Yeah, not at all. And I was like, you know what? Serves you right. But yeah, it was really a painful experience for me. And I mean, later on in another state, I became a manager with no problem. I trained at my own store. It wasn't unheard of. And it was fine. But oh my gosh, that was the worst, one of the worst experiences I had ever had in my life. It was crazy. But anyways, that is my tragic managerial Wendy's story for today. And I will see you the next time I decide to rant on this, that, and the other. So thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you next time. Bye, guys.